We're talking about the child advocacy studies going on at the University of Mississippi and across universities also in other areas of the state. This is a collaborative effort. We are pleased to welcome Sheila Brand, Chief Strategy and Operations Officer for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. Sheila, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so explain to the folks exactly what CAST, that's the acronym, what its mission is.
So Child Advocacy Studies is an interdisciplinary curriculum that has been initiated throughout Mississippi to really educate the workforce that will be working in helping professions as their career path. So those people who will come in contact with children at some point in their careers so that they have the foundational knowledge and skill set to identify potential child maltreatment or child abuse, and then how to respond to that, what to do in those situations.
So, Sheila, on the surface, just to the layperson out there that's not familiar with this course of study and just this subject matter in general, it wouldn't seem that'd be that difficult to identify. But why do you need all this special training to understand when child abuse may be going on?
Well, I just think that, a lot of times it goes under the radar. And so whether, we have different simulations that allow students to kind of walk through situations that could potentially expose child abuse, and what they need to be looking for and how to respond to that. And the one that comes to mind to me is we have a medical simulation and had some resident students who came through that. And so in the process of talking with the child and family, the mom just kept intervening and giving all of the details, and the resident student wasn't knowledgeable about whether or not they could ask the mom to leave the room in order for them to talk directly to the child. And so through that simulation, they were able to practice that skill set, talk about the legalities of, asking a parent to leave the room during a medical exam with a child, and all of those components of that. And so this type of curriculum really gives just a wide range of experiential learning to students, so that they can practice that in a classroom setting or in a simulation setting, ask the difficult questions, and have discussion around the best practices in working with children and family in these situations.
So explain what is meant by interdisciplinary approach to this.
So we ideally want to have students from all disciplines, whether they're criminal justice, educators, social work majors, law enforcement, all having this foundational knowledge through the CAST curriculum. So where one school, at Ole Miss, it's the School of Applied Sciences, is the hub for the CAST curriculum, but we want this to be elective choices for students in other disciplines to come in and receive this type of training as well.
Okay, so we hosted last year at Southern Miss and the year prior at Mississippi State, so obviously there are programs at all three universities, right?
Yes, so we actually offer across the state 4 certificate programs and 5 minor programs in, colleges and universities. We have 21 colleges and universities that are involved in some capacity of CAST, and naturally we want professionals entering the field, whether they graduated from a school in South Mississippi or North Mississippi or somewhere in between, to have exposure to that foundational knowledge. Collectively with Child Protection Services and the Attorney General's Office, that's kind of what started the CAST Mississippi initiative many years ago, and we are now starting to see really the fruits of our labor. We're having students graduate with minors, entering the workforce, joining staff at child advocacy centers across the state, and we know that those students are better prepared. They come into the profession with research says about 5 years of on-the-job learning after they have been through the CAST curriculum. So they are a little bit more prepared to get started in this work.
So are the curricula identical across all the universities and schools? Or are they the same? Do you guys collaborate on what the content, the material, the subject matter should be?
That's a great question. Yes, we do. And so there is a model with learning objectives in each of the courses, identified courses that are required for a CAS certificate or a CAS minor. And so really working with CAS faculty across the state to make sure we're unified on that and students are receiving that same knowledge base in those courses.
Okay. How long has these programs been around, Sheila?
So we really kind of started in 2014, just thinking through doing the first, we call it the road show, where Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi went to every college and university to try to gauge interest and initiate engagement in child advocacy studies. And so it was kind of, a slow go. Everybody jumped on board and was super excited. But then as you start integrating a new program into the universities, that looks different everywhere you go. And so working through some of those nuances, but we have had a lot of champions over the years who have really helped to make sure that this curriculum was available to students across the state.
How does Mississippi rate in the country in this curriculum, this endeavor?
When we started the Mississippi Initiative, when the schools jumped on board in Mississippi, we doubled the footprint of child advocacy studies across the country. So Mississippi doesn't lead in a whole lot, but we definitely are leading in the number of child advocacy study programs in one state across the country. And we looked at this a little different because we had some of those state partners with Child Protection and the Attorney General's office. We knew that if we really wanted to make a change to the system, that we had to do it statewide. We couldn't make the impact that we were hoping to make with workforce development by only focusing on one university in our state.
Can you share an example or a couple of examples where the training paid off, and without the training maybe a situation would not have been exposed or a more serious problem would not have been avoided?
Identified. Well, I will say, just last week, Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi hosted a family advocacy training for new family advocates across the state, and we had 4 CAS students or CAS interns that was part of that training. And afterwards, it was a 3-day training. Afterwards, our presenters, our trainers, came back and said the confidence that those students had and their ability to be involved in the training and have, the communication necessary to really gain the knowledge needed from the training to apply was heads above the other new employees who were starting in that position. So we're confident that students are better prepared. They have an opportunity to do experiential learning and simulation training where they're actually walking through case scenarios in the classroom. And so it just makes it a little bit easier for them when they actually get into the field and start working with children and families.
I see. Are there examples where families have come to you and said, that this has really helped out because we didn't know this was going on, and because an individual was perhaps trained and understood what to look for, they were able to, again, solve a problem? Did they provide feedback? You already gave a great testament to the value of the program. I just wondered if the folks you're trying to help have provided any feedback.
I don't know that they know whether or not these are CAS students, but I definitely feel like if our workforce is better trained, then our services are going to be higher quality.
I see.
And, when we want to make sure that we are addressing these issues from a trauma-informed practice approach. And so as long as students are entering those positions and have that knowledge and that thought process, then we know that services are going to improve and those outcomes are going to be better.
Yeah. We got about a minute left. Let's see where I was trying to go with this. Oh, is this constantly evolving? I mean, do you learn more maybe from the field and thus you adjust the programs to accommodate?
For sure. Whenever we have human trafficking is another thing that has really taken shape in Mississippi. And so making sure that that content is part of the CAS curriculum, it's part of the simulation trainings that's being offered. So whenever there is a surge of something, we want to make sure that our faculty are aware of that and our students have access to that.
I see. Gotcha. Fascinating. Sounds like great work, and we appreciate Sheila Brand, Chief Strategy and Operations Officer, Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi, for joining Middays. We'll be here for another hour and 2 hours and a half. Pardon me. Appreciate you coming on, Sheila.